Hello there, my name's James Sainsbury. I'm the project supervisor for Worthing Archaeological Society at the Sompting Epic excavation. We're at this wonderfully new cut channel by the Epic project, and during the cutting of the channel and some field walking afterwards, one of the members actually found what is potentially a flint knapping site. This is a late Mesolithic, early Neolithic, so we're talking about 6,000 years ago. The landscape would have been a bit different, but it still would have been wetland. And we're currently in the middle of our excavation. We have 4 test pits open through here, and we're doing a very careful scrape alongside the bank. We think most of the finds are about 1.2 metres OD, so that seems to be the level where people are actually working flint. Now these are people who are hunter-gatherers, farming had only just about got into the country if at all, and they would have moved across the landscape, they would have found a knapping site, and they would actually use these tools to hunt fish, and I mean, this would have been an absolutely rich landscape of flora and fauna for them to actually get their resources from. So we're here at SS1, so this is a very careful scrape we're doing down the bank. We originally actually found the Mesolithic blade, which was found by Teresa last year, and it seems that this flint horizon running along here is actually where the knapping is coming out from, hence why we put these test pits further back from the bank. So they're very carefully cleaning down, then we photograph it and then we bag them. But it seems about 60 to 80 centimetres down from this line, that's where we're getting the goodies. Now originally the bladelets were found here. We think they were washed away in the winter rains, but we're still getting things like that, I mean, as we can see here. So this is the kind of thing we're looking for, these tiny little bits of debitage and flakes from an actual knapping activity. This is probably our most productive pit so far. This is A19, and Martin's been very carefully cleaning down. We're actually recording finds individually, as you can see here with the label tags we have in there, and I think we are nearly up to 90 small finds. So this is tiny little flint flakes. They've actually come off when they've been knapping flint. They've been pinging off all over the place, and they've settled quite nicely in this brown clay. We haven't actually hit the exact site of the knapping activity yet, but we know that it's very much in the vicinity. Knowing most archaeological digs, it's going to be just over there in the field where we're not going to be digging. So this is E19. Again, we have some lovely small finds coming out on context 10, and that's this clayey layer. But we also, quite interestingly, have a large amount of other flints laid down. Now we've seen this in 2 of the other test pits further south. Wonder if this might be some kind of surface laid down to help possibly even cattle come in across the wetlands to drink, or people laid this down at some point. Because it's a mixture of rolled flints and downland flints, it's not naturally occurring. They've actually been brought together, but we won't know the date of this until we get underneath it, which will be in a few days' time, I imagine.
Okay, I'm Connie Shirley from Worthing Archaeological Society, and we've been recently doing an archaeological dig here to investigate whether or not some of the flint scatters are actually in situ, and to gather them up and see to what period they belong. First indication is that they're probably late Mesolithic, early Neolithic.
My name is James Sainsbury with Worthing Archaeological Society. We've now finished our excavations here. Here's some nice examples of what we've found. Most of the material we've had out, it's all flint work. It's late Mesolithic, early Neolithic and late Bronze Age. Now these are samples of late Mesolithic, early Neolithic flint tools. We have a lovely core here. We can see various bladelets have been taken off. We have a blade itself, and these are little microliths which are actually part of the debitage of flint working. Oddly enough, the only other period we're really finding is material like this, big chunky flint scraper from the late Bronze Age. So it seems that despite in the Malthouse field about a kilometre that way, all periods are represented, down here it's very marginal land. It's only possible to actually exploit this landscape in a very short period between the end of the hunter-gathering period, which is the Mesolithic, and the beginning of farming in the Neolithic. So we're talking about 6,000 BC, and again around 1,000 BC. Otherwise it seems that this was some kind of flood landscape. We don't know how far the sea came in during the Mesolithic at the end of the Ice Ages, but of course the channel was being formed at that time. It must have inundated this land, at least to an extent. We found lots of various types of soil and flood events as we went down through our trenches. Having said that we only have late Mesolithic, early Neolithic and late Bronze Age material here, one thing that was found during the early field walking was this Roman tecula. This is a roof tile, almost certainly from a substantial Roman building. Now whether that's a bathhouse, temple or villa, we don't know. I would imagine being down on the coastal plain near water, it's a bathhouse or villa. But this is the only piece we found. We haven't had any bits of Roman pottery or ceramic building material like this, known as CBM, in any of our test bits. That's not to say there isn't a substantial Roman building nearby, and if there was one, it'd be similar to the villas at Angmering, Southwick, Arundel, in the fact that it would be very close to the sea or an inland waterway, so it's easy to get trade goods in and out from the estate. So now we're really getting onto the point of the post-excavation write-up. We've got to do our map distributions of where the flints were found, especially if we look over here along the stream. We did a very careful collection up along here in various sites, SS1 up to SS5, which means side scrape. We're going to get them all plotted onto a map so we can actually see the full extent of this site. We also know, going another half mile down to the south of us, there were blades being picked up off the bank there. So it's a very large site, but unfortunately we didn't quite hit the napping where people actually were sitting. Having said that, we don't think we're very far off. My theory is it's somewhere just behind this ditch, and a flood event or rains, even the plough, has just pulled them along onto this ground in front of us. And that's why we were finding the older material in the top, and as we went down we got to these late Bronze Age chunky pieces. So they were probably sitting at the bottom of a river or an oxbow lake, and that's the late Bronze Age landscape, and the rest of it was pulled over within the last century by ploughing.
So, question, take a look around. This is a very, very flat area. So, and we have documented evidence that this was actually underwater at the time of Doomsday. Worthing at that point had a port. We know that Lancing had a port. This area has been infilled over 1,000 years by successive longshore drift, creating a shingle bank and diverting the water flow out towards the Ada. It's been further drained by the construction of a dam at Lancing. There's actually a Shops Dam Road at Lancing where you can see the old remnants of the dam. So it's been infilled over 1,000 years, probably farmed over the last 300. It was shown as marshland on the first Ordnance Survey, so it's been pretty wet, but it's not actually been underwater for a good few hundred years now. So, question, if this belongs to the late Mesolithic, early Neolithic, where was the coastline at that point? Are the flints that we find in situ because they were deposited on some kind of coastal bank, or have they been washed down from somewhere? First indication is they're probably in situ. So why didn't they get moved out when the tidal waters came in? That's something we've got to take a look at.